I think while we wait for a couple more people to join, perhaps I could start very quickly with welcoming everyone, those that are here in the call right now. Thank you for taking this time to attend our Revizto webinar, special edition in Singapore, at this very lovely afternoon on a Thursday. And I would just like to welcome you all for wherever you are dialing in from. And thanks for joining. Today's webinar will be about Revizto, more to showcase what the power of collaboration can bring to the project sites and as well as the architects and consultants. And we have a keynote speaker sharing on how DP architects are leveraging on the benefits of a BIM collaboration platform to help drive collaboration and efficiency across their projects, especially within the healthcare domain. All right. So this is just a quick agenda. The flow is quite simple. We'll do a little bit of a housekeeping just to introduce some of the features that are present on Zoom. And then I will walk you through a Revizto overview, just a very quick 10 to 15 minutes sharing on what Revizto is. We have a short video on that. Deep dive session by Chris Mawson, who is our director of ISM. He'll be going into a little bit of the details on the technicalities of Revizto, our CSM team, and as well as the future of what we're going to bring toward the industry. And then our keynote sharing at the end of the day, which is the highlight from Jomar on the DPA's use case. And then we'll take on some questions and answering at the end of the sharing session, yeah? So this webinar is, just for your information, is being recorded and the link will be sent tomorrow in the Zoom for all the registrants who have registered for this event. Please use the chat to engage with the speakers. The chat function should be at the top or the bottom ribbon of your Zoom. So please type in any of the questions or if you wish to talk to other attendees, you can do so there. There is a Q&A for you. You can also submit your questions throughout the webinar. So feel free to keep it free flow. You can write down your questions right now or submit it at a later point in time. Keep out for some polls. There may be polls that are being ran during this time, and please participate. And for any future updates for Revizto, please feel free to subscribe and look out for us on social media as well as LinkedIn, right? So thank you all for joining. Once again, my name is Andrew. I am the Territory Sales Manager for Southeast Asia. I'm based in Singapore, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. With me, I have Chris Mawson. Chris Mawson is our Implementation Director of Asia Pacific of Revizto. And then at the other end, I have Jomar Loxon, who is the Senior BIM Manager of DP Architects. Now, without going into too much information, just a little bit of a background on myself. I've been in the industry for 5 years in Singapore. I've worked with top government agencies like the BCA, HDB, PUB, all of which in helping them drive digital transformation across their siloed departments within the built environment. So my role is to help everyone within the ecosystem realize the impact of productivity and generate that ROI for the business. With the age of so many of these different technologies coming all over the place and software is out there, it's difficult to stay abreast with a proper workflow. And sometimes you'll fall into the trap of having disparate systems and unreliable solutions, which hinders our reliability. So which is why we're here to help address some of that issues with Revizto. I'll show you a short video next to share what we're all about.
Design and construction projects are continuously becoming more complex, as are the teams and specialists building them, preventing teams from getting and staying in sync and leading to more costly reworks and extended timelines. Revizto is an integrated collaboration platform that solves these challenges by providing a single source of truth, accessible from any location and any device, and can be leveraged by all disciplines and trades, regardless of technical skill level and whether they prefer a 2D or 3D environment. As an integrated collaboration platform, it takes full advantage of the digitization of the AECO industry, from parametric modelings, BIM data, reality capture, and field technology. Revizto empowers users with an accessible, multidimensional model, allowing for a streamlined, proactive approach to issue and clash management. Project teams can work together across disciplines to identify, track, coordinate, and solve clashes and issues days, weeks, and months before they're built out on site, all in real time and from a single platform. Users can instantly communicate on tasks and address challenges together, and can be confident about the data and models in hand for better and faster decision-making. The project dashboards empower teams with a high-level project status, with granular details to understand exactly what needs to be done to keep moving forward. Revizto provides a new level of accountability, offering full transparency and better understanding of tasks and individual responsibilities. Drive efficiencies and cut costs by setting communication and coordination standards for projects of any complexity and in any phase. Enable true cross-team collaboration with Revizto. Building better together. Learn more at revizto.com.
All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that little short video of Revizto and what we do. Well, fun fact, Revizto in Latin actually means visual check, if you look it up on Google. And what this means is we are an embodiment of our mission for the market, which is to revolutionize teamwork by empowering teams to build better together with that visual information, or visual aid, as we say so. Revizto is a SDE, in short, which stands for Shared Data Environment. We believe in connecting all the different kinds of stakeholders within the project, not just the architects, not just the designers and consultants, but everyone, clients, contractors, suppliers, and operators within that workflow. This maximizes that efficiency in terms of collaboration, and everyone can understand where the project is headed and when it's about to deliver and produce that results. Think about it. Everything becomes mobile, collaborative, improves that touch points, less arguments, less deviations, and less headaches in total. It's easy to learn, and what's more, the design is intuitive, so it's easy for anyone to adopt in using Revizto. We're also built on a video game engine. For those of you who are familiar with first-person shooters, I'm not going to go into that, but we are built on a video game engine, so it's a typical approach of a WASD navigation with your mouse moving in and out the BIM model. So it's as easy as that. We're also seamlessly integrated with 2D and 3D, so we bring that reality of those that are very comfortable with their 2D reviews, but also helping them transition toward that 3D model in effect by a 2D overlay onto the 3D. So we have that kind of integration approach, which is in the market, not that many solutions out there that does this. Our SDE is well connected with multiple plugin support, along with its various different formats. As we progress throughout the years, Revizto will always include newer plugins and newer supported formats for the industry, especially within Singapore, as we are developing quite fast in technology adoption for our construction projects here. If you think about your supported formats, your IFC, your point cloud information, your OBJs, and IFC SG are able to be exported and imported into Revizto in itself. So the integrations are wide abreast. We have many different integrations with the various players within the market. So fret not, there will be a connection to pull data across to Revizto platform to have that seamless collaboration involved. We've been around the market for some time now with our humble origins from 2012. Ever since then, we've amassed about 250,000 users globally, and as well as 30K projects and counting throughout. So we are fast-paced, we are growing, and our ISM services team are top-notch from industry. They have prior experiences of 10, 20, 30 years of BIM experience, which help to keep our customer satisfaction at bay. So that's one of the unique selling points and importance of having that customer level interaction and services from Revizto in itself to the project teams. Some of you may be familiar, some of you are maybe from these names, but you may be familiar with these names as well. We work with a wide variety from architects to builders, consultants, and also main contractors in general. So it's not just fixated on for architects, for consultants. Revizto is available for everyone within that workflow in the built environment, right? So that's where we coexist with all these partners and companies in the market. Now, without going into much detail, I'm going to share with you all a quick study on the construction scene based on a report done by McKinsey, Construction Productivity Imperative Report. And this report highlights that we all know construction is complex, right? The McKinsey Construction Productivity Imperative Report, which is a mouthful, paints a very poor reflection of the success of projects around the world. This is sampling over 1,000 projects. So within that 1,000 projects, they found out that 98% of those 1,000 projects had cost overruns and 77% were late. Why? We'll find out. They are not by chance numbers, but almost a fact, given that your project will have eventually a cost overrun and more than likely run late. But what if I said that doesn't have to be that way, right? What if you could turn these numbers around so that your projects can come on budget and on time every time? So this is just a snapshot of some of the things that result in the delays and such. So these are the elements, right, revolving around these existing inefficiencies. We found that poor collaboration was at the heart of all these findings. If you look at poor organization, contractual misunderstanding, misconnections, why? We conduct all of our findings and our issues on WhatsApp, on places like the email, sometimes even printed PDF documents and printed hard copies, and then we give them to people during the ICE meetings. It gets lost in translation. People don't understand. They visually cannot link. So that's where it creates that kind of delay and missed opportunity cost to move your project further. And why is Revizto the answer to these challenges? We're basically the center that binds everyone together. So imagine previously you would have that siloed approach, sending your issues via the third-party channels and here and there. Our platform helps to bind everyone together. And not just that, we work very closely with our partners and customers on innovation, whilst providing that world-class support to them from our Revizto customer success team and as well as expertise. We bridge the gaps between all stakeholders, transparency for everyone. I know transparency is a very sticky word, but if it comes down to delivering a project on time and maximizing your resources that are given to you and increasing that profit margin, transparency is the way to go. It is how projects need to move forward. And I think this is one of the initiatives that BCA is trying to roll out as a part of the education for Coronet X moving forward to get transparency into that workflow for everyone, right? We are a much more than a model viewer. Some may think like, may have heard Revizto, oh, it's a model viewer. No, we are more than that. We support 2D, 3D issue tracking, VR, QR, and asset management, and even quantity takeoffs. And in upcoming our March RevUp conference, which is on the 19th to 20th of March this year, we will be announcing a new feature, which is our AR module, augmented reality, which I hope that Chris can share a little bit more about this later, and I will not go too much in detail. But this is how we've been doing it for years, and this is how we'll be doing it for years to come. And I would say it's worked pretty well for us so far. So this is just a snapshot of how we can help to improve projects and make sure that projects stay on time, and sometimes even delivering much earlier than expected. So Revizto is proven to streamline projects from the earlier stages, from master planning to the construction. We empower the project teams with seamless information flows and unlocking these opportunities via intelligent project dashboards. And I think this is really the end of my part here. I wouldn't want to bore you guys with it, but I will pass on to the juicy stuff where Chris will share more about the Revizto platform. But I guess the last thing that I want to, the last thing that I want to impart is, don't be afraid, be bold, go collaborative, work with everyone, get these projects across, do the job, and maximize the potential and generate greater profits for your organization. So with that, I would like to pass this time to our very own Chris Mawson.
Thank you, Andrew. Awesome. Let me just check. Have you transferred controls?
Yep.
Yeah,
I have.
Thanks for that. So my name is Chris Mawson. I'm the Implementation Service Director for the APAC region. What does that mean? It means that I'm in charge of an awesome customer success team, which is their role to pass on their knowledge and their experience to you as the client and the Revizto users, basically so you can get the most out of the software. We're kind of unique in so many ways that we've got this awesome bit of software, but we've also got this awesome customer success team behind us as well, that you as clients can tap into. I'm going to go through that in a little bit. Firstly, just quickly about myself. I'm originally from the UK. I trained as a structural engineer many years ago now, 30 odd. Worked on some massive projects around Europe, and then finally ended up in Sydney, Australia, and heading up the Arab kind of building group as their digital engineering, and then heavily part of the Arab Global Digital Network as well. Worked on quite a few projects in Singapore over the years as well. Oops, okay. There we go. So I just wanted to start off with our vision. It's something that we're really passionate about inside of Revizto. As I say, we've been in the industry for decades now. So we see the issues and the problems that the AEC industry has, and we want to change it. It's not that we're just providing this best-in-class software. We actually want to change the way that we deliver projects, and this is very key to how we see Revizto as a whole. So how do we do that? Oops. So Andrew touched on it. We class ourselves not as a CDE, but as a SDE, shared data environment. So we want to be the catalyst for kind of positive collaboration between, the digital authoring software, comes through Revizto, and then pushes into more of a contractual kind of project portal. So we've got Corner X in the middle, and we've got AConnect, Procore, things like that. So we want to enable the teams and owners and project managers who can work together, see all the information in a centralized location. And we believe that Revizto helps you achieve that. So whether it be 2D drawings, 3D models, the data itself inside of the models as well. We can tap into that and start to interrogate it and seamlessly collaborate as well. Oops. All right. So Andrew touched on this earlier. It's got the application at the heart of these three circles, which we believe is key for collaboration. So the Revizto application's right there in the center, but I want to touch on the customer success part as well, because it again, I think we're quite unique as a software company to offer that. So the customer success team, they're all from industry. What we want to do is to partner with you, the customers, on the project, so you can kind of tap into our knowledge. We can pass it on to you. So we're not only just teaching you how to use the software, but teaching you best workflows, best practices. Not only kind of regionalized, we can tap into the global CS market as well. So you've got not only the kind of 4 people we have in the APAC region, but we've got a global network as well where we can look in. Speaking of which, sorry, we have our global network. So I think at the last count, we were over 20 in and around the globe. So we've got various regions: North America, EMEA, APAC region. So the 4 in our region, you've probably spoken to these already: Duncan, Matthew, Michael, and myself. We've also got Jason Howden, who's our CIO for Revizto as a whole. So we've got huge, leverage that we can pass on our knowledge to him, and then that goes directly to the development team as well. Obviously, Luke Johnson as well, bit of a legend in this area. So again, it's trusting the CS team to pass on their knowledge to you, so you can get the best out of that for your projects. So safe harbor statement. So this is basically, we're going to start have a look at some of the roadmap for the next kind of 18 months. So I'm going to show you some stuff which we're working on at the moment, which exciting stuff, which is coming out next month. So it's just basically telling you that, this is what's happening. Please do not base your strategies on any future developments, because they are future developments as well. So let's have a look at the roadmap for 24-25. So as Andrew's just pointed out earlier, we've got our global conference, which is coming up in like 3 weeks' time. And that's when we're going to release, or just a little bit after 5.14. So what's coming out in 5.14? We've got some really exciting new tools, QR codes, the ability to actually print a QR code from the application, go to site, stick it on the bit of plant or the room, wherever. It's going to revolutionize the way that we interact with the model and the site as well. New task scheduler won't be out in 5.14, I don't think, but it's coming. It's been rebuilt from the ground up. You're going to be able to do heaps more stuff in here. So you're going to be able to push the models, which you can do now, but you're going to be able to do clash automation. So literally be able to do all of the grunt work, all the manual work that we all hate doing. You're going to be able to automate that. So we're getting more efficiencies out of the software as well. Custom statuses has been a big one that we've been pushing for a while. The ability to change or to amend the statuses, so we don't have the open, in progress, solved and closed. You can then customize these to your workflows, to your specific projects as well. Really exciting one, Andrew touched on, the AR for the site app. I've actually got it on my phone at the moment, so the CS team are testing it. It will again be released at our global conference. Super excited about this. This is going to change the way that we interact with the model on site and on the phone app as well. Things like improved clash automation, I'm not going to go into, but there's some new rules which are coming in there. AI improvements. Version 2 is being released. We're also integrating with heaps of other softwares, a couple in here, Reveal and OpenSpace. Power BI integration. So this has been a hot topic for a number of months now. So we're giving you the ability to integrate with Power BI as well. So that's what's coming in 5.14, future development. So I think the beauty that I realized when I first came to work with Revizto is that we actually listen to you as a client, and then we develop the tools that you want. So we've been doing a lot of listening recently, speaking to clients, and these are the kind of top future developments that we're dealing with at the moment. There's a heap of other things going on in the background, but these are the ones that I've just picked for today. Permissions improvements. This is a massive undertaking that will affect everything in the application. So you'll be able to get certain permissions to certain people. Goes interaction with the 2D workflow, which is a little bit further down here. We're revamping the entire 2D workflow. This will allow you to work more in the ISO 19650 method. So we'll have work in progress bins shared and published. What we don't want to do is have a set of published drawings that your site people can see, or your subbies, and they start building from these work in progress drawings. So with the permissions I hold, we'll be able to lock that down so they can only see approved for construction drawings and things like that. Things like approval of drawings, we've got a process that we're looking at as well, so that will be coming out in the near future. Infrastructure projects, I know we're talking about architecture today, but we do a lot of infrastructure in the APAC region, more than anywhere else in the globe. So we're actually enhancing the infrastructure tools, which is going to be a real massive improvement for these, what do they call it, long and flat projects. So yeah, that's coming as well. Further integration protocol, we've got a redesign of the user interface and the workspace and things like that. So not only we're looking at the software side of things, so the CS team are also building things like coordination templates. So what does this mean? What we want to provide you as clients is a template that you can start a new project, load in the template, and then get some really robust information, clash tests, so on, straight out of the model within 30 minutes. This is our goal, and we can do it. We've proved that we can do it, and not on a small project, on big projects as well. So we're working on standardizing the search sets, both for Revit and IFC, things like appearance template, stamps, clash matrix, and things like the execution plans as well. Oops. So these are the templates in work in progress at the moment. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Again, not just the software itself, but enhancing the workflows. So what does this all mean? So obviously everything in red at the moment we can automate. So we're looking at AI potential, so analysis and creating issues like that. So what we want to do is make as much of the entire process automated. So we can all go home at 5 o'clock on a Friday and not sat there working till the old school, which was 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. We don't want that. We want to move with the times and our vision. We want to change the construction industry. And then we start to have a look at the Revizto effect. So basically with all this enhancements that we're looking at, enabling thousands of companies around the world to work smarter, not harder, reducing project risk and errors and emissions and saving time. And the bottom line is, I guess, money as well. Red Academy. So it's going to be a little bit of changes coming for the training, especially with the CS team. we've created a learning management system, or LMS, we're calling it. What's this going to enable us to do? So the CS team can start to focus more on the strategy and working with the clients, and use the LMS system to basically do a lot of the grunt work. So when you've got a new project, and you need to upskill or onboard a lot of your staff, we can push them through the LMS system, and then they can start to take the real benefit of all the kind of learning paths and the guided tutorials and things like that. So the learning paths I touched on, so we'll have separate sections for architects, engineers, contractors, project management, things like that. We'll be able to do the guided tutorials, do an exam, and then get certified at the end. These are some stills from what we built at the moment. This again is going to be released at our global conference, so look out for that. And then you can get certified. So here you go. Jason Howdens is now at expert level 2, which is done and sat through the Red Academy here. Gainsight, I'm just going to touch on this quickly. So not only are we enhancing our own software, we're actually purchasing other software as well. So Gainsight is going to be a game changer for the CS team and for you as clients, because we're going to be able to track how you are performing, how we are performing as a whole. We get these health scores and things like that. So what is Gainsight? It's kind of a centralized location that we can pull all of our data in from, like Zendesk tickets, Red Academy, you know, calendar, Salesforce, emails, things like that. So we've got one centralized location that the CS team can look at. It gives us all of this wealth of information as well, so we can drill down into a DPA project and say, all right, let's have a look how Joe Miles dealing on this project, and see if we need to jump in or give him a hand, or it might be performing perfectly. It's going to be a real game changer, so we can look at how certain projects are going. Eventually, you as a client will be able to look at this as well and see how we're performing as well. So watch out for that. Very finally, have a look at the podcast, which Jason started last month. So this is something that we're pushing out every month. So the first episode was with our founder and CEO, Armin, and Jason Howden. It's on Spotify, so just check, search for Revizto and go have a listen to that. We've got some really exciting people coming up. And just a bit of a plug for our RevUp conference, which is in a few weeks' time. Some awesome speakers. This will be a really global event for us. There's quite a few people going from our region as well, so look out for that. Okay, I will now pass over to Jomar, so thanks for that.
Yes.
Thank you, Chris.
Let me just pass over the remote control to you, Jomar.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew.
All right. You have control.
Okay, hi and good afternoon, everyone. Just a quick introduction of myself. I am Jomar Locson. I'm a senior BIM manager at DP Architects, and I am managing one of the healthcare team in DP. So I have at least 13 years of experience in simple to complex BIM projects, and over 16 years in the ASE industry. Today, I want to showcase you how DP Architects manage our digital workflows, especially for our healthcare projects. Just a quick introduction of our company. DP Architects was founded in 1967 with a deep concern for the built environment and the need to create architecture and excellence that enriches the human experience. DPA is currently on its 56 years of architecture excellence, with a strong of 900 staff worldwide, geographically located in 18 international offices, and Singapore as our base headquarters. We have 9 specialist design groups. We have a team of architects, engineers, interior designers, urban planners, sustainability designers, project managers, facade, landscape, and lighting designers. DPA experience is spread across different typologies, as you can see in the screen, with our own typology research group. We have over 200 BIM projects up to date and delivering over 10 years in BIM to integrated digital delivery, or what we call IDD. To understand more clearly what are the aims of IDD. IDD is Singapore's initiative as part of the Singapore Transformation Roadmap, mandating all projects to achieve a timely, cost-effective, productive, and high-quality project delivery from design, manufacturing, and to as-built until facility management. In relation to the project application, I may not able to disclose more details about the project as we are still on design stage, but I'll showcase you about our workflows. We first determine our project pain points. So we think about how do we establish a cloud-based collaboration and design environment. We also note that user and design reviews are purely limited to 2D design reviews or printed PDF. BIM model walkthroughs in native files are nearly impossible. Data programming that are linked to the authoring tool has a potential risk of storage and data issues. And then we also think about how do we create an automated issue tracking resolution or generate automated generation of reports. And another pain point is the creation of automated clash detection and how do we do our quality assurance and quality control. The next step is to map it out versus our client CDE requirements or common data environment requirements. The first one is to derive a data-driven design, which is what we call CDE1. So the CDE1 requires us to produce room data sheets, room planning, biomedical equipment, elements, item elements, future M&E requirement of a certain room. CDE number 2 is we need to provide what is our model authoring. So our native files, all our drawings must be generated in the BIM authoring tool. CDE number 3 is to provide an issue management or cloud-based coordination. So design reviews, virtual mockups, issue tracker, class detection, and visualization. CDE number 4 is to provide a client with visualization management, real-time rendering softwares. And second but not least is to produce BIM-based cost estimate from our BIM models. So entirely 100% using the BIM model to generate quantity takeoff. And plus is to have a content and asset management database, so a centralized database for contents and libraries. So after we understand the CDA requirements, we also generate use case that is in relation with the CDE. So for example, for digital requests for information, so we provided, or we have solution that these are the softwares that we are going to do. So for example, when we do ICE, so we will conduct ICE meetings by using the Revit tool, BIM 360, Revizto. Our visualization checks. So we'll be using 3 different softwares. Our digital submission and approval, BIM-based customization, and BIM-based documentation. These are only 6 out of the 14 IDD use cases that are required to be IDD project during the design stage. Another requirement that we need to take note for healthcare projects is the 3-stage BIM review and acceptance gates from our client. So we are required to pass at least 60 points for all stage submission. There's also a checklist for scoring that will be shared with a process of BIM review and submission to the client. This process is courtesy from our MOHH BIM studio. So there are 3 stages, R1, R2, and R3. Each stage will require its own checklist, requirements, and deliverables to pass the minimum score of 60. So what is our approach to the CDE, IDD, and pain points, and all other requirements from the client and the project? So we have developed this complex workflow where we start with the Rufus. So the Rufus is where our data programming, our schedule of our, accommodation, and RDS. And then it will be synced to the Revit, which is our authoring tool, and also Unify as a content management that links within this the Rufus item list and room geometry in Revit. After doing the authoring or modeling in Revit, we will then sync it to Revizto to federate our models, to create QA/QC, virtual mockups, and to use the platform for user group sign-off. The Revit also will be linked to Cubicos or TAS cost management TAS platform. So all the information are generated from one source. All this will be in the cloud base before we give it to the client under their case system or case managed MOHH system. So to give you an idea of how we model breakdown our digital environment. So we start with our BIM 360 environment. So we have different kinds of models: architecture models, structural, M&E, our medical planning models, logistic models, interior design models, landscape, signage, and security. This will then be exported into or federated into 2 types of main buildings: the main building live models and the main building shared. So the live models, according to ISO 18650, is situated in the WIP folder, and the main building shared container files are situated in the shared. The link models are also separated into 2 groups: clinical room models and non-clinical room models. Towards the design review process, we will create a Revizto workspace that separates clinical and non-clinical RLS or room layout sheets, what we call. And it will then be populated into the main building for the necessary coordination. how do we do the information management? Information management using BIM to develop, design, and produce rich coordinated documentation. As you can see in the screen, is a sample of a room that contains all the elements that are required to be modeled and documented in a healthcare project. Every equipment, every M&E points, every fixtures, furnitures, and major equipments are to be modeled and tagged with a proper coding system and description. We are also exporting these room layout sheets into Revizto for coordination. As you can see on the screen, one room, this is an RLS layout. One room are generated with 4 elevations, a ceiling plan, a 3D, and an underlay with all the equipment schedules on the site. So once we generate an RLS, these 2D sheets are exported as 2D sheets. And during virtual walkthroughs and mock-ups with client and with our user group, which are all the doctors and nurses that are using the space, will then be able to visualize the space itself in the software. We can overlay the plan over the 2D room and also an elevation overlay of the sections. IDD coordination. So this is the exchange of information, collaboration, and coordination for the entire project delivery. So the sample of design reviews and mock-ups that we're doing, we are using issue tracker in Revizto to generate stamps and filter out issues that are critical, non-critical, major, or minor issues that has been highlighted during the design review or ICE meetings. These stamps can be exported into reports that we are submitting to the client as a way for them to accept our BIM submission. So part of the BIM acceptance review by the client is to submit reports, and they do. When we hand over to the contractor, they were able to know which items are being still coordinated during this design stage and to be coordinated and to be solved during the construction stage. Our class detection matrix is a complex matrix of 50 elements versus 50 elements, so a total of 1,250 crash tests that are linked to the search sets. And each search sets will be tagged with a stamp and as issue tracker. We use issue automation to automate the filtering out of specific clashes or clash test lists during the clash detection. So these are some of the previews also of our M&E coordination. As you can see, we are able to detect ducts that are overlaying within different kind of ducts and cable trays, and major equipments that are really having a critical issues or potential risk to the client. We are able to cut it out during the design process. So we also generate dashboards and data insights and reports for clients' information. So the generation of issues, project, and monitor potential or crucial project coordination that may affect cost. So these are some of the issue reports that are generated in the project. As you can see, it will contain all the comments, markups, and necessary chats from different consultants that are required to action this issue. To wrap it up, I will just let you know our key takeaways, why we implement or what are our key takeaways for this or for the implementation of our digital workflows. So we have achieved a faster class detection and resolution of issues. So reducing and improving decision-making as issues are identified and coordinated during the design stage prior to the construction. So we can establish 2D and 3D overlays for ease of coordination and review. We have achieved and improved BIM quality and quality control and quality assurance, of course. And we have enabled client and user engagement via the virtual collaboration portal for their design reviews. And of course, we can achieve design sign-off. Yeah, that's all my part. Thank you. Any question and answer?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jomar and Chris, both for the very insightful sharing. Now we've come to a time of our Q&A. So this is where if you have any questions with regards to the content that you've seen today or something that you haven't heard yet in response to some of the things that you may be thinking about, please feel free to type it in, engage with us, and we'll take your questions live here right now. I think there is perhaps one question that I have for you, Jomar, just to kickstart it, is, you know, I see that there's a lot of integrations happening with, in terms of having that software Revizto being part of the workflows of your existing workflow. And previously, before Revizto, like how was it done? I'm not sure if you've mentioned this before. Like how was it done, and like how did it feel onboarding Revizto for the very first time? Like what were the gaps involved?
So our office implemented, or we are with Revizto for a year, if I can count, right? We have, from the start of the project, we already know the requirement from the client, and we know that the previous workflows that we are doing in previous hospital projects doesn't work in terms of, let's say, a cloud or class detection software that is on a cloud that automates the exporting of reports. So that's the key idea of how we choose Revizto as a solution for our BIM collaboration and class detection. And during the design, because this is a healthcare projects, if we are, let's talk about the traditional way of coordination, which is using Revit or Navisworks, we are not able to comply with the use case. First things first, the use case, and then our BIM review and acceptance. That means MHH wouldn't be buying or accepting our model as a part of the handover to the contractor, and then we may not score 60 points as a passing. So that's our implementation. Yeah.
I see. Thank you for sharing. And just opening up the Q&A now, I see some questions here. One from, I will go by timestamp based on who sent the questions first. And one of them decided to be anonymous, but as a BIM manager, I love having Revizto as a tool for the project. That's nice. One challenge I find myself having is trying to sell Revizto to the project in my conversations, either with the client or project manager of the main contractor. I'm a tech/BIM guy. Selling software isn't my strong suit. How can Revizto help me implement Revizto into projects I am bidding on? Side note, justifying the cost of Revizto is getting harder, especially for a non-sales guy. to sell as Revizto prices grow. Maybe I can take that first part on the sales side. To this anonymous question, and please feel free to reach out to me if you need that level of support in the commercial engagement and the demonstration to the client at the very start. I would say that we are here to support you when it comes to all these engagements for your projects. All you need to do is to link us up and bring us in, and we'll provide that firepower support, as I would call it. Yeah, I mean, that's at least for the commercial side. Is there anyone else that wants to answer this, Chris or Jomar? Do you have similar challenges?
Oh, I mean, I would say how you can't justify not buying the software, because it's in the long run we know how many errors or clashes or potentially very costly mistakes that would occur if you didn't have it. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of ROI information out there, so maybe we could share some of that with the anonymous person.
Yeah, don't you don't have to remain anonymous forever. Do feel free to drop us an email. If you wish to not disclose your name, just contact me directly, and then I will tend to your queries together with Chris. Yeah, Jomar, you wanted to say something?
I think you need to go back to your use case first. So establishing your use case and getting budget out of it, right? I mean, yeah, I believe Revizto is price is getting higher and higher. But if you think about the long-term projected ROIs of the project, so we were able to see that, hey, yeah, it's expensive, but it solves our use cases, and at the end of the day, right, you want to deliver the client a good and coordinated project. So that's the first things first.
I think just to end off the answers to this question is also, I mean, price is definitely a sensitivity when it comes to construction projects and design. We completely understand. We are flexible in our packages, which is why commercially we can discuss it. But I think just to note that for the price you pay in having your issues coordinated and saving that much of time, it really outweighs the price you actually pay. The ROI is there. Happy to work out with you on that to seek justification in your management. But yeah, I mean, we live in a strange time where things are getting more and more expensive. Inflation is really hitting us hard in our daily lives as well. So, yeah.
I think just going back to that McKinsey report that you touched on right at the start, Andrew, just reducing the risk of a project is massive, and if you can reduce the risk, that the return on investment is huge there alone, and especially if you're talking to clients. If they feel like they can reduce the risk on a project, I mean, that's huge for them.
Yes. Thank you. Let's move on to the next question. This one is perhaps for Chris. Does the Revizto model your design team access show live models or shared models? This is a question from Sam Henderson.
It's probably more for Jomar and what he's doing
Oh,
in his
Jomar.
project.
It's for me. So
Okay.
what we did, right, is to share it both. So we have both container files as a shared and live models on the same workspace, so we can able to toggle in between clashes. So clashes are derived from the live models, because we want everything before you even design, you're able to visualize it or clash it. And then the shared models are also exported to the Revizto workspace.
There you go, Sam. We hope that answers your question. Moving on, you have another question from Sam Henderson as well. With 1,000 plus clash tests, you must have high quality model metadata for the search sets to perform well. What percentage of the clash test results are real versus how many are false positive? Do you find
Yes.
the automated clash test results are reliable and a good use of someone's time reviewing them all?
Yeah, so to answer that question, right, together with my M&E consultant, so we have developed the matrix. So the matrix will have scoring method of each item. So we score them via design value and the clash value. So when we table it, so those items or clash tests, the scores higher will be filtered out as the major issues. So although we generate thousands of tests as a format of submittal or report to the client, we focus or filtered out critical items only that are generated via the clash value and test design value. So if we think that structural elements should be a clash value of 10 and then versus maybe a ceiling, so to think that these two items is really a minor or major or false positive, then you can filter that off first during the process of the clash detection. But in total, these 1,000 clash tests is also relevant once we hand over it to the contractor during the handover stage, because they will be aware of those clashes. Maybe it's false positive or maybe it's trivial. Then you just take note and at least it's recorded. I hope that answered your question, Sam.
Yes, Sam. If it doesn't, please feel free to write a follow-up for us. We move on. From Gary Iwan Santoso. Hi, how does Revisto's functionalities handle large-scale data, like in infrastructure projects, as opposed to the application in more discrete property projects we've seen today? For Chris, maybe.
One word, amazingly. As a region, we've got more infrastructure projects than anywhere on the globe. The infrastructure as a region, especially Australia and New Zealand, we're quite mature as a BIM on a BIM scale of maturity. So the infrastructure teams realized quite early on that Revizto can handle these large data sets. We've got massive projects. One project I'm just thinking off the top of my head, it's got 70,000 drawings in it. It's got 1,000 IFCs. I think it's like 600 users, something like that. So it can handle massive data sets. It's really useful with point clouds. So a lot of these big flat and long, as we like to call them, infrastructure projects, take point clouds on like a fairly regular basis. So having the ability to actually load them in and view them all in the one platform is just so useful for these companies. We've got various companies in New Zealand who've kind of mandated it on their infrastructure projects. We've had some of the biggest projects in the world that are under construction at the moment. Other softwares couldn't even open the model. Revizto will basically open the model like that. So to answer your question, yeah, it handles massive data sets really well. Going back to the Unity, the gaming engine, this gives it that ability, whereas any other software out there on the market just doesn't cope very well with it.
I remember one example. I wasn't sure whether Chris was the one sharing to me before or was it Jason, but it was a complex project with 500 gigs worth of point cloud information on Revizto, yeah. And it worked like a charm. Like it was no issues at all. So
yeah. I mean, I know I've come from industry, so I've used all the other softwares, and Revisto is the only one that can handle those kind of data sets.
Okay. Thanks, Gary. We hope that answers you. And Saeed Sardari, thanks for being a champion user since 2017. And thank you for dialing in from Melbourne. We understand that it's past 6 right now. So his question is, working with tier 1 companies on significant infra and defense projects here in Australia, I've witnessed the effectiveness of Revizto as a BIM-based collaboration tool. However, I've noticed that due to the licensing price increase since late 2022, PMCA and lead consultant companies are exploring alternatives, more cost-effective tools, or reducing the use of Revizto in their projects. Do you have any insights or thoughts on what might be driving this trend? Chris, do you have any input on that in the Australian landscape?
I guess the one thing, you know, the licensing has changed. I'm not in sales, so but I know as an overall, there are more project licenses out there now. With a project license, you can, you know, have as many people invited to that project as you want. So the price obviously goes down. So I guess touching on the ease of use of Revizto. So again, I'm from industry, I know what's out there. Revizto is by far the easiest software to use, and we hear it time and time again. So it's getting all of the team involved as well. It's not just your technical BIM or Revit users or whatever in there. It's getting like your project managers or your package leads are not technically savvy, that they can jump in and actually navigate around the model and understand how it works. You don't need to learn it for months on end. So I would say that's a real positive as well.
Hope that answers you, Saeed. Question from Will Harbison, if I pronounce that correct. Any update on getting the correct sun angle in 3D?
I will ask this evening. I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. I know what Will is talking about, so I'll make a note.
Okay, cool. Were there any more questions from the floor? I know it wasn't asked, and probably some may not have thought of this, but I thought to just share that in terms of this kind of security measures that Revizto has, which I didn't highlight earlier, is that we are ISO 27001, and we're currently working on our SOC 2. So in terms of, I mean, not just producing world-class collaboration platform, but we also prioritize a lot on data security. So you need not worry on that. And anonymous attendee says, I too can attest to the market reacting to Revizto's price. Okay, alternatives. I guess when it comes to the pricing, it really depends on where you're coming from. If you're more on the consultant's perspective, then it wouldn't be too much of a hit. But when you're talking about project-based pricing, yes, it is. We do charge an amount, but the point for that is also mainly because you get all the kinds of users, everyone involved in the workflow. It's not just if you're looking at an ROI that you have only 10, 15 active users out of a project that spans from like 500 to 1,000 users, big projects, then you wouldn't be getting the ROI, and hence the rationale and the justification of paying that X amount for the project doesn't make sense. So it really depends, and I would go back to the main topic of today's sharing is mainly about the collaboration. You use Revizto for collaboration to get your message across to people to save time. We can equate time to money. I mean, with simple calculations on like how much you're getting paid and what's your hourly rate, that kind of thing. But if not everyone uses it, then it really defeats the purpose of why Revizto is here in the first place. And we do have sentiments from clients that love us very much and use Revizto, and they can't move away from it as well. So it's really two angles to look at, and it's how many people you can involve into the workflow for this collaboration to make sense for you. I know it's not really a direct answer to the pricing, but this is the as best diplomatically that I can answer this question for you. Okay, is there any more questions out there for the floor? If not, do we still have time? Or are we gonna call it off? Brooke, are you there?
I think we're over, mate. So
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Yes, we're all
Okay.
done.
We're all done. So thank you once again for your time. Thank you, Jomar. Wonderful sharing on the workflows, and we really appreciate this collaboration that we have with DP. We hope that you have found the value in Revizto, and we also look forward to having you in our field day next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
For those
No
of you that
problem.
are still, for those of you who are still around, please feel free to reach out to either Chris or myself. And if you're based in Singapore, we could catch up sometime next week for a live demo if you wish to know more about Revizto. Yeah.
Yeah,
Drop us an email.
I'm actually in Singapore next week, so there you
Yes.
go. Come and say hello.
Yes, come and say hello.
Yeah,
So
see
thank
you
you so
guys.
much. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Jomar.
Thanks, Jomar. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, see you in Singapore.
Yes.